Mr. Culbert offered to let Mr. Wyatt review the books. Mr. Wyatt is unqualified and desire an audit to be conducted by a CPA.
Let me stop you, Mr. Susan. I missed that. I must have been asleep during that.
You must have been asleep. Of course, there's a lot of things being said.
Sally, could you get us a copy of that?
It's on the tape.
Could you give me a copy of that by next week? Mr. Carver said that? I'd like to say that. I didn't remember that.
In 2012, Mr. Bennett informed me that Mayor Graham Business Services was doing his books, and that he changed later. Whether that's true or not, I don't know.
What's the relevance of this?
I'm getting to that. What I do know is Crossville Aero appeared registered with the Secretary of the State just prior to its initial contract. So, my motion will be specific, that the council directs the city manager to cause an audit of Crossville Aero Incorporated LLC and Crossville Aero sole proprietorship from April 2008 to 1 October 2015 on fuel sales. This audit shall be broken down, indicating the preparer of the accounting. That's why I brought it up, because there's apparently different bookkeepers. For Crossville Aero, the following information to be reviewed: number of fuel gallons received for each calendar year to include authenticated invoices and year-end inventory, the remittance to the city, and whether that remittance corresponds to accounts receivable with their accounts receivable and fuel sales, whether fees paid to the city reflect proper accounting for fuel sales, whether a lost fuel account is kept. Such remarks that may be applicable to the maintenance of proper accounting procedures. Having said that, I find no reason anyone who is seeking transparency or responsible fiscal oversight would vote no on this motion.
Do you have a comment, Chris?
I just want to clarify on my books. My books are done by Hassel Ray York's office, and they have been since the day we started.
Since 2008?
Yeah, since 2007 actually, before we went interim, when we were called out there. But JH does my income tax only. He was doing that before I started at the airport, so that he doesn't really do my books. They take that care of.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to say something if I could, please.
Yes, sir.
I ran the fuel on a spreadsheet, the loss on the spreadsheet. I thought it was, inconsistent, about an average of 11% over those 5 years. And that leads to something like $33,000 loss. Say Chris is paying $3 a gallon wholesale. I don't know what he's paying. But it would seem it would behoove the FBO to want an audit to find out that when it happens, maybe the supplier's cheating him, maybe somebody's stealing the fuel out there and he doesn't know about it. And Pamela, Councilwoman Harris said that maybe he needs some training in a few areas. Well, an audit would be the ideal way to start to see where the deficiencies are, to get the training. Nobody's trying to get rid of Chris Bennett. And I think some of the comments tonight were a little inappropriate. But I will say one thing, that maybe nothing's being done wrong, like Mr. Wyatt kind of alluded to, and some others kind of alluded to. But I think your city attorney will tell you that the appearance of impropriety, according to the Supreme Court of this state, is just as bad as impropriety. So I make a plea for transparency. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion.
I second that. Yeah. The fuel is a self-serve thing anyway. Anything could happen with it. numbers and the buttons on it too.
I'm sorry to keep saying things.
What's that?
Can I say something?
Sure.
I want everybody to know that the fuel difference, we have rental aircraft. At one time, we had two going. We put fuel in the tractor, we put fuel in the heaters, we put fuel in the mule, put fuel in the forklift. So we use, it's not a loss, it's not like it's just going into paper, although you do lose some. You know, when you order 4,000 gallons, you don't get 4,000 gallons. You get a net, not the gross. You pay on gross. And that's what those numbers are based on, is gross. And that's okay. But I don't want.
Depends on what temperature is, right, Chris?
Very much. If it's above 60 degrees. So I'm just saying, I don't want folks to think that it's just lost fuel. It's not being, you know, that way. It's being used. It's not something, I don't know.
But one thing that's not clear when you're looking in the contract is the city gets a nickel a gallon of fuel. Is that fuel that's used or fuel that's sold? Does the city not get their commission off of the fuel that you're using on your rental aircraft and your Kubota and your?
Well, it says in the contract, a nickel gallon of fuel sales, or specifies sales. Now, I'll be willing to sit down with Mr. Rutherford and talk about all this. I don't think we'd ever see, if the city wants to be paid on net gallons that I buy, I figured that up and it'd be about $43 more a month to pay the city those dollars. I don't mind doing that. Whatever it will do to remove the cloak of, or the view that I might be doing something wrong, then I'll be fine.
There's no, I want to make it clear, I made it clear in the report, I've never implied that you've done anything wrong. But when the numbers come out that different, that implies that there's accounting issues.
Well, Pete, when you're asking if there's violations in the contract, that states otherwise in itself. Because you're trying to find a way to terminate a contract. And what you haven't stated is the 52,000 gallons, you're setting it out there as the worst possible way of presenting it. That equals to about $2,600 exactly. And that's way more money than you spend on lawyer fees chasing this around and the city of Crossville employees' time. It ain't gonna equal out.
It isn't all about the revenue. It's about the accounting
Business plan
process.
should have been.
It's about the accounting process that's gone on since 2008 and no oversight and no audits. That's what it's about. There's no oversight and no audits in place. Now, what other business would operate on that basis? What other government entity would operate like that? None that I know of.
Mayor, I'd like to say point of order. Typically, parliamentary procedure, if there's a motion on the floor, it lacks a second, that ends all discussion on the matter.
Do we have a second? There being none, the motion fails. Next item on the agenda is the city attorney's report.